So being the on-site director is really exciting. You get to see a breadth of different teaching styles in your instructors, an amazing array of activities that the kids participate in, and then you also get to see a real authentic joy and love of learning from all of the participants. It's a really great way to sort of see what Duke Tip represents in one or two really compact days. You start out nice and early, making sure your signage is clear. Definitely, if you haven't been in your location before, you need to figure out where everything is in advance and make sure that parents and students can find out where you need to go. Next is a hustle with your PAs to set up supply and organization before registration even begins. I find it works best to have all of the supplies pre-sorted by class so that the instructors can visibly see where to go and pre-check their supplies before they have to leave from your morning meeting. At that point, your PA should be setting up registration. Great PAs will help you sort out all of the parental materials into packets so that that check-in procedure can be very streamlined. Make sure that your PAs also, your big oversight for them is that they describe how students will be picked up and make sure that those specifications are very clear. Are parents going to classrooms? Are you meeting in front of a building? What happens for an early pickup or a late arrival? Next, it's time for your staff meeting. Different campuses have different expectations for lunch and possibilities for supplies. Always make sure that all of the staff members have your name and number, know where they are, and what lunch looks like. Also make sure that they are very aware of procedures for check-in and check-out. This is also a great time to make sure that people truly have checked closely their supply boxes. You will save yourself and your PAs so many headaches if instructors tell you right at the start what they need and what they're missing. Your job as on-site director is to maintain a positive and pleasant facade, even if underneath your little duck legs are paddling frantically. Prior to a staff meeting, I always make sure to check with my Duke Tip office staff to see if anything has changed from when I have been previously running an event. One piece of whiplash that instructors, because we do have so many return, and on-site directors and PAs can have is when schedules change. For example, going to a wrong lunch location just because it's where you went last time. So I always like to check and clarify with them to make sure that there's no big logistical changes, to check in, to lunch, to check out, and all of those pieces. Next, I make sure that I break down the staff meeting into what we need. I always make sure to include explicit time for a supply check, and I ask them to, while I am in the room, instructors and TAs, please check your supplies. Is there anything you need or not? I also make very clear the expectations for lunch and lunch supervision, which does vary by site. Finally, I remind them of the timeline and the schedule for the day and ask if they have any questions. I also like to, in this meeting, stress to the instructors that I am non-evaluative. I'm there as a work servant in my service there to make sure that they have the best days that they can while making sure that all students are safe and all Duke Tip policies are followed. That removes some of the nervousness from the first-time instructors when they're like, oh, is she coming in to like check and see what I'm coming in to make sure you're having a great day. Approaching the end of the day, I always remind instructors that their course evaluations need to be filled out before parents start to arrive. This means before a parent meeting or before parents are invited into the classroom. For many people, this will be about 15 minutes prior to the end of class, though some courses have elected to do theirs slightly earlier just to make sure that everything was ready. For example, if they were going on a field study or they had a performance to do at the end. Following that, make sure checkout procedures are followed, whether parents need to come into your classroom if they have to show ID, whatever your campus's stipulations are. Follow those and make sure that all students are there and present. At this point, after many of the students have left, PAs can go through and start clearing, checking off rooms, and as soon as a room is clear of students, and it has been checked off by you or the PA, those instructors and TAs are welcome to leave. As the on-site director, you are responsible for remaining with the students until the last student is picked up, and sometimes that can run a little late. You're also ultimately responsible for the conditions of the room, so make sure that you personally, no matter how much you trust the PAs, go through and check those rooms for any remaining supplies, technology, or any wear and tear that might have occurred. Don't freak out if something happens. Buildings are old, sometimes supplies get manhandled. As long as you record that and are transparent about that, no worries there. After all the students are gone, it's your responsibilities with the PAs to make sure all the supplies are appropriately offloaded into your storage facility, whether that is a van or at a central office. And at that point, you are free to dismiss the PAs. Make sure you contact your Duke office staff to let them know that all students have been released to their parent or guardian.